The battle with the police and with the Bollinger family isn't just about me or the Bollingers or the police. It's about a system that victimizes the most victimized people in America, foster children. The number one thing that you can do to defend yourself is to work together. There are a lot of people who are mad at me. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. And here's why. I have hundreds of people in the last 3 years who have threatened my life over things that did not happen. I have had so many people tell me fucked up sob stories. Are these sob stories? Are they really just sob stories? No, but they're just sob stories to those of you who come from decent families, those of you spoiled enough to believe that you worked harder than these people who grew up in the system and got dropped off without the knowledge that you got to grow up with. There's one particular family in town that the younger generation, they didn't have to work for all of the things that they're able to utilize. They can go over to the shop and they can utilize those tools just because of their family name, just because of who they're related to. And it doesn't enter their minds that they're pampered and spoiled. And that's not saying that they're bad people, because these are not bad people, not by any stretch of the imagination. They're clueless people is what they are. Clueless. Because they didn't have to grow up with it. One of these young men, his grandfather, complains to me, and it's not really my business, but you know how people are. They like to talk about themselves, and oftentimes they talk about their problems. So his grandson is coming over and stealing his food, and his grandson is coming over and stealing his cigarettes, and his grandson is coming over and stealing his tools, and you know, that wasn't the first grandson of his to do that. But the other thing is, this young man's grandfather doesn't call the cops every time he comes over and steals things. This man's grandfather allows him to stay at a place that he doesn't even pay rent. This is according to his words, though. I haven't asked his grandfather if he pays rent because it's not my business. But you know what is my business? Children in foster care. Why do I fight for the homeless? Because most of them were children in foster care. Why do I fight against the prison system and the jail system and the injustice system? It's because they victimize those without families. Those who don't have a grandpa to take care of them. Those who don't have an uncle or a dad who's going to take care of them. And yeah, this young man in specific that I'm talking about right now, he's 23 or 24 years old. When I was his age, I was working 2 full-time jobs. 2. And I was lucky to have those jobs. Just a year earlier, I only had a part-time job. And I busted my ass at that job. I was glad that I was able to help feed my brother and my sister until I was 21. At 21 years of age, I'm no longer living at my mother's. And I'm still making money to make sure that my little brother Michael and my little sister Tara are fed. Something that a lot of these people who keep coming at me have never had to do. Don't understand what that is in the least bit. Their biggest issue was using their summer job to get a prom dress or to get a car. You don't have the money to get a car with your summer job when you have to worry about eating, when you have to worry about your family eating. But then again, does your family care? If they care, you're less likely to end up in foster care. But that's no guarantee. They look at a family that's got 5 or 6 people in the household. They've got a mother and a father in the household. They've got a grandfather who lives across the street with their grandmother. They've got a family business that they work together as a family. CPS is going to look at that family and go, nope, that's a little too much for us to take on. But they're going to look at that single mother who's busting her ass as a waitress and trying to get a better paying job while she's doing this. And she's the one who's going to get the child taken. Or when she's all junked out of her mind and she has somebody else take the child, like the father. Imagine that. That father is now a single father. And they look for any excuse they can to take that child and put that child into the system. When I say this isn't just about me and Natalie, I mean that. This is about law enforcement and the injustice system and the media and the general public all taking part in victimizing the most victimized people in America because of propaganda. Because these people are never allowed a voice. When I was a child in the system, I couldn't tell people when I was raped. I couldn't tell people when I was beaten up for the color of my skin. I couldn't tell on the staff members who did wrong things because you know what would happen to me? I would be punished for speaking out. The same thing that happened to me as an adult. Now, there's a lot of people who pretended that they were in situations that they weren't to try to get my help, and most of them got my help. It wasn't until Natalie disappeared that I was pretty well cut off from being able to do that. Before that, I had gone and rescued single parents all over the United States. Well, all over the western portion of the United States. And I guess that single mother that I rescued in Virginia does count as East Coast. But the fact is, I'm fighting against families. Families who never did me any wrong, but there are other people that those families like. Me, my motto, as far as that goes, loyalty above all else except honor. Yes, I'm loyal to you, to a point. If you're going to look away while these things happen to children, there is no honor in you, and I owe you no loyalty. I owe you nothing. If you are going to be loyal to somebody because they're related to you, I am fine with that. But understand that just because you are loyal to your family doesn't mean that your family has always been good. It doesn't mean that just because you were loyal to that person that they're not on drugs, that they're not a rapist, that they're not a child molester, that they didn't steal from people. I am willing to spend the rest of my life in prison to see the laws changed. To see the victims no longer victimized by a capitalist society that takes and takes and takes and takes from the poor and uses what they took from the poor to harm the poor further and put the poor in their place. My place is right where I'm at. And tomorrow I may be somewhere different, and that'll be my place. I might be under a bridge. I might be out at a lake. Hell, I might find a cave, you never know. In this area, not likely, but it's a possibility, I suppose. But I'm not loyal to any of you. You need to understand that. I'm loyal to your children. And I'm loyal to the children who have no parents, who have no voice. I'm loyal to those children who became adults and got thrown out onto the streets without even an ID, without a birth certificate, without a driver's license, without a social security card, while you make excuses, while those of you spoiled enough to have decent families, like the Martindales, since I've known them, they have not known a single day of actual strife. They've known loss, yes, but not a single day of actual strife. Not one. A lot of people, they like to throw in my face the things that they did for me. What about the things that we did for each other? Did you forget that it wasn't one-sided? Did you? Did you forget the years that I helped you out? Years. Yes. Miss Jerry didn't move 7 times in 1 year. That was spread out over a 4 or 5 year period that I helped her out, moving over and over and over again. But she is different from me. Yes, she has a broken family and a broken home. Yes, that is the scenario that she came from, or what I should say from here on in is according to her. But the fact is, I'm never going to be loyal to you. I'm going to do the honorable thing, not the loyal thing. If I have to break the law to save lives, by God I will. That is the honorable thing to do. You can try to shame me for it, but I will not feel shame for it. And I cannot be embarrassed. I do not have or possess that particular emotion. If somebody in your family does something wrong to me and does it publicly, yes, I'm going to do the same back publicly. If you want to make that a personal insult against you, especially in a small town like this, and you want to say, oh, that's my family, I'm just protecting them. No, you're not. You are harming them in the long run. You are giving them a safe haven when they go and do something terrible to another human being. But that's where the safe place comes in. Is it the predators who have a safe place to go, or is it the victims? It's not the victims. Your opinion from your spoiled point of view. And you need to look at it that way. It is a spoiled point of view. If you can go and steal from your grandfather every day and get away with it, it is a very spoiled point of view. If you're not going to jail for that theft, it is a very spoiled point of view. If he looks away and allows you to continue it, then he is empowering you and letting you believe that that is okay. Do you know why I admitted every single crime that I committed? Because it's the right thing to do. Many foster children are forced to break the law every single day. From human trafficking to theft, shoplifting, and some of them even forced to murder somebody so they can protect their own families. Foster children protecting their families by killing people. They don't even live with their families. And you with a full belly only because of what your family gives you. You want to trash talk somebody for, my family did this for you and my family did that for you. That's right. Your family did things for me. But they did the same for you and more. So much more. The grandfather that I was telling you about earlier. Never in my entire life have I thought about stealing anything from that man. Ever. You know how many times I stole growing up? Twice. I stole some candy when I was 12. I stole a pack of cigarettes when I was 13. You know how much stuff I've stolen as an adult? Not much more. I stole a Quran from the jail. I'm wearing hospital scrubs that I stole from a hospital in South Dakota because it was cold. Out of necessity. You guys don't understand that. Those of you who can steal from your grandparents whenever you want something, or just ask for a few extra dollars and get that loan that you never intend to pay back, or have access to the shop so that you can build what you want without having to pay somebody else to do it, without having to buy those tools yourself. And you want to tell people who had to actually earn it themselves, who had it all taken away, who didn't get to keep it because they didn't have the help that you had. You want to tell them how they earned it, how they deserved it, how the punishment that they endure is something that they wanted or chose. Do you really think these people chose to not have a family? Do you really think these people chose for the laws to victimize them repeatedly? While people like you, who actually break the law, repeatedly get away with it over and over again? While people call the cops on somebody who doesn't look pretty, on somebody wearing a backpack, they call the cops because they're afraid of that person just because they're homeless. If they're homeless, they must be a thief. Meanwhile, you have a house, a roof over your head that you don't have to pay for. Food in your belly that you didn't have to pay for. And you want to judge those people. That's fine. Then when you decide that you're going to be mean to that person, you bring your friends and family into it, and it becomes a popularity contest. I've never been popular, and I don't care. I don't care. I don't have to be your hero. I don't have to be a comic book hero to be a hero. Some of the people who did the most for me, did the most good when it mattered the most, broke the law to do so. I believe in doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And my fight is for people like me, people like Natalie, and millions, not hundreds, not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of foster children here in America going through the same BS that I went through 30 years ago. And the victimization of those children doesn't stop when they turn 18.